постріл!
The Russian army has already lost armored vehicles worth hundreds of millions. Yet Putin's commanders refuse to slow down. Every day, they launch new assaults, only to end in complete failure. Here is a clear example where Ukrainian forces used a Leopard tank to crush Russia's biggest summer assault. On September 3, 2025, Russian commanders planned an assault with their latest and most advanced T-90 tanks. 4 T-90M tanks, supported by multiple quad bikes, were sent forward on a mission. They were fully covered with tree leaves, hoping to trick drone thermal scans and misguide Javelin missiles. With this camouflage, they kept moving and firing toward the Ukrainian defense line. But little did they know, this assault would face German-made Leopard 2A tanks. While the Russians were preparing, one Leopard tank was already on another mission. In the Pokrovsk direction, recon teams spotted a Russian sabotage group hiding inside abandoned buildings. A Leopard was sent to finish the job. It moved carefully, knowing the area was surrounded by Russian brigades and recon tanks. Locking onto the target, the Leopard fired multiple rounds at the buildings until they collapsed. Then it started to return to base. But a Russian Rubicon drone team spotted the Leopard and launched an attack from behind. Drone struck, but the tank kept moving. Several more drones chased the tank, striking from different angles. One drone jammed and crashed right in front of it, but the tank pushed forward. Moments later, 2 more drones hit the sides, forcing the crew to change course and move onto another path. Despite the damage, the tank managed to keep rolling. Later, Ukrainian commanders showed clear footage of the tank and its little damage, proving how effective Western tanks are in this battlefield. Despite several hits, the Leopard remained undamaged. After avoiding the earlier drone attacks, the Leopard tank quickly moved on to another mission to face the Russian tanks. It took cover near a tree line, waiting and observing. As the convoy rolled toward the Ukrainian defense line, the Leopard fired its first shot. A direct hit on the lead vehicle, sending it into flames. More shots followed, striking one tank after another in the convoy. The lead tank then made a fatal mistake. It turned back, exposing its side. The Leopard fired again, hitting it from the side and tearing it apart. Under heavy fire, the convoy scattered. Some tanks were destroyed on the spot, while their crews abandoned the vehicles and tried to hide in nearby trenches. 2 tanks managed to escape the chaos. But the Leopard tank didn't stop there. It began to chase them down. First, the lead tank was hit. The second tank was struck from behind, but it kept moving forward, trying to escape. Moments later, the front tank took another direct hit and exploded instantly, turning into nothing but flames and scrap metal. Then the second tank was hit again, this time from the back, and it too exploded on the spot. The Leopard then returned safely to its position. This powerful strike by the Leopard tank clearly shows why it's one of the most feared machines on the battlefield, a performance that definitely earned a like. Watching their tanks come under attack, the quad bike operators quickly abandoned their positions and began to run. so Ukrainian drones kept striking one after another, forcing them to flee. One soldier from the squad spotted an approaching FPV drone and opened fire, but the drone remained undamaged. The Russian commanders were watching closely as their first attempt to break through the Ukrainian defense line had been completely destroyed. They quickly planned another assault, this time. Instead of just sending tanks forward blindly, they added more strength, 2 armored personnel carriers and 2 of their latest T-90 tanks. Just like in the earlier attempts, these tanks were carefully covered with branches and tree leaves, hoping to trick thermal scanners and make it harder for drones to detect them. The first T-90 that had taken part in the earlier mission had already withdrawn back to base. But in the same area, a German-made Leopard tank was waiting, hidden and ready. As soon as the Russian tanks rolled into range, about 1.5 kilometers away, the Leopard fired its first shot. The shell slammed into the side of one of the T-90s, sending smoke and sparks flying. Yet, despite the impact, both Russian tanks managed to keep moving and quickly pulled back into cover among the tree lines. From their concealed position, they began firing toward the Ukrainian defense line, hoping to suppress any threat before advancing again. What they didn't realize was that a Ukrainian FPV drone team had been tracking their every move. The operators had the tanks locked in their sights the whole time, waiting for the perfect chance to strike. Then the assault began. One drone after another was launched toward the hidden tanks. Despite the Russians using heavy electronic jamming to protect themselves, the drones still managed to break through. Explosions shook the area as the strikes landed, damaging first one tank, then the other. After several direct hits, both T-90s were burning wrecks, their mission brought to an end before it could even begin. And just like their earlier attack, this new Russian assault collapsed into complete failure, leaving nothing but destroyed vehicles and another wasted effort on the battlefield. After the destruction of the Russian column, attention shifts to the Leopard tank, the machine that broke the assault. Developed in Germany during the Cold War, the Leopard 2 has steadily evolved into one of the world's most capable tanks. Its Rheinmetall 120mm smoothbore gun delivers precise fire at long ranges and can launch various rounds, including armor-piercing projectiles able to cut through the heaviest vehicles. Its protection is equally formidable. Layered composite and modular armor systems shielded against anti-tank missiles, artillery, and kinetic penetrators. Powered by an MTU diesel engine, the Leopard combines speed and endurance, moving swiftly across rough terrain while remaining reliable in extended operations. Advanced optics and targeting systems give its crew the edge to detect and strike targets day or night, through smoke or in poor weather, often eliminating threats before they can react. The Russian T-90 was built to counter such armor with reactive protection. A 125mm smoothbore gun and countermeasures to disrupt incoming fire. On paper, it stands as one of Russia's most advanced tanks. In reality, its limits are being exposed. In recent assaults, T-90 formations supported by quad bikes failed to penetrate defenses. Superior Leopard accuracy, fire control, and crew survivability neutralized them, leaving Russian armor destroyed. The outcome shows the gap between theory and combat performance. The Leopard integrates seamlessly with drones, artillery, and infantry, creating layered defenses that maximize its advantages. Russian armor, even with upgrades, falters when forced into direct engagements against these coordinated tactics. This is why assaults built around T-90 spearheads continue to fail. Heavy firepower alone cannot overcome the Leopard's precision, protection, and combined support. Yet, despite repeated losses, Russian commanders are preparing another offensive. Fresh columns are forming, vehicles assembling, and once more the Leopard will meet them head-on, dismantling their convoys piece by piece. Then came the second wave of the Russian assault. This time, it was much larger, with more than 24 armored vehicles pushing forward in a desperate attempt to break through the Ukrainian defense line. The Ukrainian side knew they had to prepare carefully. This attack wouldn't be stopped by taking out just a handful of tanks. They needed every team ready. The Javelin missile crews were already in position, and the cluster munition teams were on standby, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As the convoy advanced, the cluster munition team struck first, targeting the lead tank. The blast ripped through the vehicle, setting it ablaze and immediately slowing the momentum of the attack. Trying to regain control, the Russians sent an APC forward to scout ahead, hoping to check for mines or obstacles. But their caution backfired. The APC rolled directly over a mine, triggering a massive explosion that tore the vehicle apart. At that moment, the Ukrainian Javelin teams opened fire. 2 missiles streaked across the sky and slammed into 2 T-90 tanks, both erupting in flames within seconds. The shockwave rippled through the convoy, but the remaining vehicles pushed ahead desperately. As they moved forward, disaster struck again. One tank hit another mine, halting in its tracks. The rest tried to maneuver around it, but moments later, a second tank also detonated a hidden mine. The formation was breaking down fast, and the Russians had no time to react before Ukraine's HIMARS system entered the fight. The HIMARS crews locked onto the surviving tanks, fired. And within seconds, both targets were obliterated in thunderous explosions. Flames lit up the battlefield, leaving the entire second wave scattered and destroyed. If you're enjoying this breakdown, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Remember those Russian soldiers who had abandoned their burning tanks and armored vehicles earlier? Many of them had fled into the tree line, hiding among thick cover and ruined houses. The next task was to finish the job before they could regroup or escape. A single Ukrainian APC rolled into the area, carrying more than 20 soldiers. As soon as it stopped near the tree line, the door opened and the troops quickly spread out. Weapons ready, they advanced carefully, knowing the Russians were dug in and waiting. Every soldier understood the danger. At any moment, Russian artillery could fire on their position. Su-34 fighter bombers had struck in this region before, and the constant presence of Russian FPV drones made the situation even more tense. On top of that, there was always the chance that Russian reinforcements, maybe more APCs full of infantry, could arrive at any moment to rescue their trapped men. But this time, none of that happened. The Ukrainians moved quickly and struck hard. They cleared the tree line step by step, engaging the scattered Russian troops in short, brutal bursts of gunfire.
Да! Не чую! Якщо там окопна лінія, хай роз'їбуть її нахуй, блядь!
Grenades blasted through hiding spots, while small arms fire forced the enemy out of cover.
Як окопну лінію заскочу, я того кулеметника голими руками нахуй задушу, блядь! А ну похую, блядь!
Within minutes, the fight turned into a one-sided battle.
Можна півка, пожалуйста, блядь? Ну, серйозно.
By the end, more than 12 were eliminated where they stood, while the rest scattered in confusion, hoping for rescue. But no air support came, no reinforcements arrived. They were completely abandoned. The Russians who escaped on quad bikes thought they had found safety. They left their vehicles behind and hid inside the ruins of an abandoned village, taking cover in broken houses and shattered walls. But Ukrainian forces had already tracked them. Another APC carrying 9 Ukrainian soldiers was sent in to finish the job. The squad moved carefully, sneaking between buildings and keeping their weapons ready. Step by step, they closed in on the hiding Russians. When the moment came, the Ukrainians stormed the houses. The Russian soldiers were caught off guard, with no chance to fight back. One by one, they surrendered. Their hands were tied, and their eyes were taped shut so they couldn't see where they were being taken. In total, more than 20 Russian soldiers were captured alive. For Ukraine, it was more than just a battlefield success. These prisoners could later be exchanged for their own men held in Russian captivity. Another clear win for the Ukrainian side. These captured soldiers will be questioned to find enemy positions and hiding spots. Imagine being a Russian soldier on the front lines. There are no real choices left. Either face the Ukrainian army head-on, knowing they are better positioned, better supplied, and waiting to strike, or surrender and leave your fate entirely in the hands of the soldiers in front of you. Fighting often means a brutal end. Surrendering means captivity, with no promise of when, or if, freedom will return. And retreat? That isn't even an option, because support from the rear is gone. Commanders push forward, but when the battle turns, there is no protection, no cover, no rescue waiting behind. It is a cruel reality of war, being sent forward without the chance to fight for survival, knowing that every step deeper into the battlefield could be your last. This is the weight carried by every soldier caught in these failed operations. And if you value the courage and relentless work of the Ukrainian forces who continue to defend their land against overwhelming odds, you can show your support to us by giving a super thanks. Every gesture of appreciation means the world. Using information from the captured soldiers, the Ukrainian army uncovered the exact location of a hidden Russian ammunition depot and the routes their troops were using. Without wasting time, the drone team was called in. The first drone, operated by the 1st Separate Defense Brigade, locked onto a building where Russian vehicles were stored. Moments later, a direct strike hit the target, turning it into a fireball. Then, another drone locked onto a personnel carrier parked nearby. The hit was precise. The vehicle was destroyed instantly. But the biggest find came next. Recon drones identified an underground base packed with ammunition. One FPV drone quickly locked on and dove straight into the target. The result was catastrophic. A massive explosion erupted, sending flames and debris soaring high into the sky. From another angle, the blast looked even more devastating. When the dust cleared, a final drone scanned the site. Nothing remained. The storage, the vehicles, and the supplies all completely wiped out. In the early months of the war, Russia advanced quickly, relying on overwhelming numbers and heavy firepower. Convoys stretched for kilometers. Armored columns pushed deep into Ukrainian territory, and the expectation in Moscow was that sheer mass would be enough to break resistance. But that strategy has unraveled. Every new assault, no matter how heavily equipped, now ends in the same pattern. Stalled advances, destroyed vehicles, and soldiers either captured or forced to retreat. The reason is clear. Russian tactics remain predictable. Waves of tanks and armored vehicles are sent forward with limited coordination, often supported by poorly trained infantry. When these spearheads collapse, the units behind them are left exposed with no real backup plan. Ukrainian defenses, in contrast, are layered and adaptive. Tanks like the Leopard or Abrams are not used alone. They're combined with artillery strikes, drone reconnaissance, and infantry ambushes. Each Russian advance walks straight into a network designed to dismantle it piece by piece. Numbers tell the story more starkly. Since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, Russia is estimated to have lost over 30 to 40,000 soldiers captured and far more killed in action. Thousands of armored vehicles, from T-72s and T-90-10s to infantry carriers and self-propelled guns, have been destroyed or abandoned. Even advanced systems, the pride of Russian engineering, are consistently neutralized. The T-90, Russia's so-called invincible tank, has been shown burning on multiple fronts. Armored personnel carriers are left in the fields, sometimes in near-perfect condition, simply because their crews fled under fire. Ukraine, on the other hand, has maximized every advantage. Western-supplied tanks like the Leopard and Abrams bring superior optics, accuracy, and survivability. Drones, from small FPVs to larger reconnaissance models, provide constant battlefield awareness, striking not only armored columns but also supply depots, ammunition stockpiles, and command posts. Every piece of intelligence is fed back into the defense, ensuring that the next Russian assault meets even stiffer resistance. This is why brute force is failing. Russia continues to send tanks, convoys, and soldiers into the same trap, believing that numbers alone can overwhelm the defenders. But modern war is no longer decided by numbers. It is decided by information, precision, and integration. Ukraine strikes not just the spearhead, but the logistics behind it, cutting fuel supplies, blowing up ammunition depots, targeting command nodes. A convoy might look powerful when it sets out, but by the time it reaches the front, it is already being watched, tracked, and targeted. The difference is also psychological. Ukrainian forces fight on their own land, defending their cities, their homes, their families. Morale is high, and determination is unshaken. Russian soldiers, many of them conscripts or mobilized men with limited training, face the opposite reality. They're ordered forward into near-suicidal missions with little protection and no guarantee of survival. Captured prisoners often describe confusion, poor coordination, and commanders who remain far behind the lines. On the battlefield, this translates into hesitation, retreat, and collapse under pressure. The scale of Russian losses is staggering. Entire brigades have been reduced to wreckage in the fields. Convoys of trucks and armored vehicles lie in ruins. Some estimates suggest that Russia has lost more armored vehicles in 2 years than many NATO countries even possess. This loss is not sustainable. Each destroyed tank, each downed aircraft, each captured soldier weakens the foundation of the invasion. At the same time, Ukraine has turned every captured asset into an advantage. Abandoned Russian vehicles are recovered, repaired, and redeployed under Ukrainian colors. Weapons taken from captured soldiers are reused at the front. Even intelligence extracted from prisoners contributes to targeting the next assault. This cycle means that every failed Russian offensive not only reduces their strength, but actively increases Ukraine's. So the question becomes, what can Russia do differently? The commanders know that repeating the same assaults will only produce the same results. Without air superiority, without secure logistics, and without the ability to counter precision strikes, their forces are trapped in a loop of failure. Some suggest shifting to a purely defensive strategy, conserving manpower and equipment rather than wasting them in doomed offensives. Others argue for mass mobilization, but that risks social and political backlash inside Russia itself. On the screen, you can see a video where a single Abrams tank destroys more than 13 Russian T-90B&M tanks alone. Click and watch that next. Thanks for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe for more updates from the battlefield.